This is about a friend. This is about someone who is loved by so many that you have to watch go through this. I dealt with this before, and I watched my teammates for days come to my hospital bed and just cry. I had them call me and tell me that they didn't think I was going to make it. And now this team has to deal with that, and they have no answers. Mm-hmm. And so the next time, I think that
Want to make some extra spending money online? Branded Surveys offers you a fun way to earn big by sharing your honest opinion on a wide range of topics for many of your favorite brands. Getting started is easy and free. Create an account, answer a few quick questions about yourself, then watch your dashboard fill up with surveys that match your profile. Surveys are available around the clock. You can log in anytime, anywhere to take as many surveys as you like from your chosen device. Collect points for every survey completed. Take daily polls for bonus points and boost your earnings through our loyalty program. Redeem your points for gift cards, cash out in your local currency via PayPal, or donate to causes close to your heart. And keep coming back for more surveys. You get the idea. We've already paid out over $15 million to our members since 2012. Over 25,000 positive Trustpilot reviews speak for themselves. Sign up today for free and start earning.
How many cigars are you smoking now?
What a show. No more than one.
No more than one?
More than one, I'll get sick.
Is it...
It kind of...
Do you get any nicotine from it?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah, for sure. Everybody does.
Interesting.
That's why they smoke cigars. They don't just smoke it for the taste.
Right.
That's stupid.
That makes sense. But you don't inhale.
No, but you do. The tobacco is, it's pure tobacco. And you're getting that in your mouth, and you're getting the nicotine in your mouth.
So you get a buzz.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. We were even considering, Ari and I were smoking cigars once in the beginning of Sober October. We're like, are we cheating? I kind of feel like we're cheating. I feel like I'm getting kind of high. People get high from cigars, 100%.
Interesting.
It's just a different kind of high. It's a nice conversational high. It's relaxed.
It's similar to cigarettes where you're not fucked up, but cigarettes do provide like a relief or a release, whatever that is, whatever that nicotine is. Why is nicotine so addictive?
It's not that addictive. I mean, I like it, but I can like if I was smoking a vape pen a lot, I was doing it every day, and then I just took it off and just didn't do it for a week, and I just stopped craving it totally. But maybe that's just me.
You have a constitution. It's easier for you. You're very disciplined. Other people struggle with that. There's other people that cannot do that. Cigarettes are tough. I've given up cocaine, alcohol, pills, marijuana. I've not done a drug in 12 years. But cigarettes are tough. And I haven't smoked now for 2 months. But the one day in the near future, and I don't know when,
Someone can give you a cigarette.
they're not even going to give it to me. I'm going to request it. And I'm going to have a cigarette. And then I'm just going to be sitting somewhere having a cigarette. Not knowing how. Yeah. Not knowing how it happened.
Wouldn't it be awesome if they were good for you?
It would be amazing. It would be amazing. Well, I love that scene from Sleeper, a Woody Allen movie, where they freeze him and he wakes up and they go, what should I eat for breakfast? They go, red meat, eggs, and cigarettes. And he goes, what? He goes, no, it's all good for you. He goes, everything we thought was bad for you is like great for you. It's like chocolate, have some chocolate cake. It was like, it's such a great scene.
Well, they're right about red meat and
yes,
eggs.
some of it's correct, right? Do you think the sugar industry, because they're behind a lot of the fat activism stuff.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah. So if you look at it, a lot of the people that go, listen, there's no difference. Because, they just had this article, the L.A., school district was like, don't tell kids that like junk food's bad because it's classist and racist or whatever. It's insanity. Like, don't tell them there's any difference between foods.
It's so crazy.
And and it's all linked to this, like, be always body positive, no matter what. And a lot of that is backed by like Nestle.
Well, I know there were some body positive people that were on social media that they found out were getting backed by Nestle or one of those companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were promoting the idea that there's no difference in foods and there is no junk food and it's all about your mental health.
And you're mentally healthy apparently eating just ice cream on a couch.
But it's all of it is. It's so unscientific, and the fact that doesn't get fact-checked online is so crazy.
Right.
You can say, something about COVID or something about something else, and you'll immediately get that little banner underneath your post that'll tell people that what you're saying.
Well, they always use some example of like a person who's robust, a little chubby, and go, this person's healthy. And then they'll always point to like a skinny heroin addict and go, this person isn't. Yeah. And you go, yeah, but that's not the overall, thing.
Yeah, even if you're like 50, 60 pounds overweight and you're fit, you're still less healthy than you would be if you weren't 50, 60 pounds overweight.
I think some of it is that there was a weird period when I was growing up where all the models were like sickly thin.
Yeah.
Where they were like gaunt.
They wanted them to be like hangers. They didn't really want them to have bodies.
Well, it was like the Balenciaga thing, right? That came up with the kids where it was like, this is creepy and they're weird. And of course, you probably saw that, like that weird advertisement where it's like kids have these BDSM bears, these bears that are dressed up at like leather daddies and kids have them. And people in fashion have always been creepy and weird because, like, when I was growing up, the 90s, it was heroin chic. And they made all these young girls look like they were strung out junkies. So it's like they've always been kind of off.
Well, don't they kind of promote amphetamines to a lot of those gals?
I hope so. No, yes. But you can't be against fat activism and against amphetamine. Like, somebody's, no, they do. I'm sure they promote. Well, fashion is all about sexual currency. Like, everyone asks me about Hollywood. They talk about Hollywood. They go like, Hollywood's run on like sex appeal. I'm like, not the one I'm in. I'll tell you right now.
Are you in Hollywood though?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have a house there, but like this idea that like people talk about Hollywood like it's just one thing, and they're like, it's run on sexual currency. I'm like, yeah, not the lineup at the Improv, like not the lineup at the Comedy Store.
How about Roseanne?
Right. There's a lot of people where it wasn't. But like, yeah, those because all of these human trafficking people, they all have their like hooks into fashion. Like,
really?
Oh yeah. So Jean-Luc Brunel, who was the guy that was like a big Epstein confidant and associate, was like a high-level fashion photographer. And it makes sense because like they're recruiting these girls when they're young and they're impressionable, And they're like, hey, here's this guy and Ghislaine Mack. Like, so if you want good-looking people, you're probably not going to go to a comedy club, right? You're going to go to a modeling shoot.
Yeah.
Not that there are good-looking comics, but I mean, like, young, impressionable, good-looking people are found in modeling. So I think that's why a lot of them.
It is a bizarre job.
It's a really
You stand
strange
there and
job.
Pose and you like. What's the woman's name that was married to Tom Brady?
Gisele Bündchen.
She's worth more than him.
Well, yeah.
How? Just by being hot.
Just by being hot.
Isn't that amazing?
It's huge.
Greatest quarterback of all time. In the biggest game in all of North America.
Right.
And a woman, just by virtue of being pretty.
Right. Wins.
She wins.
She wins. Well,
and she's like, I'm done with this guy. He keeps wanting to play football.
Yeah, but now you're looking at, it's changing. It's changing. We're pretty now. Like, if you're a model, I mean, the look is changing, right? I mean, it's a lot of bigger people and it's a lot of not as pretty people or not traditionally pretty. So
yeah,
it's not all changing, but there's some.
You can't deny nature.
You can't.
And
100%.
Nature is it's all about.
Well, there was no fat activism on Epstein's Island. You know what I mean? Like, he was not.
Maybe there was.
I mean, I don't think that he was like concerned with diversity. Like the people that are purveyors of just people's looks are just,
But maybe he had a request list.
He might have. Who knows?
Yeah,
he
what
might
are you
have.
into?
Right. It's like you fill out a questionnaire.
Yeah.
Like you fill out a questionnaire, like bespoke post.
The question is, like,
they sponsor me.
There's been people like that have been sex trafficking forever.
Yes.
But it's shocking to people that it's going on now. They're like, what?
Still? But here's there is sex trafficking for sure. But there's also, like, I was in Romania. I did a Bitcoin guy brought me over there to do his birthday party.
Didn't you hang out with Andrew Tate over there?
I did. I did 20 minutes of comedy, and it bombed because people weren't really speaking English, and the ones that could didn't love me. So some of them liked me, and one guy pointed at me and just yelled Joe Rogan because he had seen me on this. Some Russian crazy guy just got up in the middle of the set and went, Rogan, Joe Rogan, and then sat down, and then they like brought him out. It was insane, but they paid me a lot of money to do it. And then there was, there's only one person there to really interview, and it was Andrew Tate. So I went to his house, and he's a lovely guy. Here's the thing about him and his brother: they are lovely people, whether they're human traffickers or not. They're lovely people. I'm not for human trafficking. But they took us out for a steak dinner, and there was women there, and a lot of the women were quiet. And I thought they were just quiet. That would be my story. If I'm called to testify, I would go, the women were quiet, and they were obedient, and many of them looked at the floor. But
really?
Yeah, it was, but it's Eastern Europe, Joe.
Right.
That's kind of the way they act. And coming from America, it was a little bit of a nice change of pace.
We stunned.
No, I mean, coming from it was nice.
Were you stunned when you got arrested?
It wasn't stunning. It wasn't like when eventually I smoke another cigarette, would I be stunned that I have a cigarette in my hand? No. I wasn't stunned that he got arrested. It was surprising to me because, listen, people say things about somebody and you hope that they're not true, right? Because he has some wacky opinions, but he has some opinions that I would say are probably, pretty reasonable.
And interesting.
That people should, stop being victims and go out and work and figure stuff out, and that, this world does leave you out in many cases, and you have to figure a way around things, right? He calls it the Matrix or whatever, but you have to be pretty resilient. I think some of those messages are good. I think some of his stuff is funny and over the top, but you clearly don't want this to be true. No. You'd never want this to be true, and I hope it's not true. They think it's true. I mean, the authorities.
Is Romania corrupt?
Yes, it's corrupt. It's a Soviet, Eastern Bloc country where I think a lot of people get paid off. I think Tate even talked about that it was kind of a corrupt country and that people just kind of paid each other off. And I think it's just the way a lot of those Eastern European countries work, where America's corruption is and Tate kind of made this point, right? American corruption is like big deal corruption, billionaires.
Right.
You got to have a lot of money to play the game. You got to have the serious capital. In places like that, you don't have to be a billionaire to influence things. You can have a small business. and have enough money to be like you're in the game. You pay people off to get the business open, and then you pay people off to keep the business safe. And I think it's kind of maybe the way America worked in the 70s before corporations owned everything. It's what it seems like. But again, I only spent...
Why did he move to Romania? Isn't he from the UK?
Yes. Well, that's certainly not a great part of his defense, is that he's living in Romania. He did live there. His attitude was, I live here because I like the freedom to do what I want. But some of his detractors would say that it's easier to get away with stuff there. He's even kind of said that. You can kind of do what you want. You can kind of do what you want. Now, maybe that means driving your car fast. Also, it might mean, human trafficking. I don't know. So it runs the gamut. But you can get away. It's a weird place to live. If you could choose to live anywhere, it's an interesting place to live. The people were lovely.
Have you ever thought of where you'd live outside of the United States?
I mean, I'd probably have to go back with my people in Ireland. I think we all have to go to our people. I mean, you'd go to Italy. We have to go to our people, no?
Yeah?
I think.
I go to my people and they're just laying around eating.
I know. Maybe I'll go to your people.
They stopped building cathedrals and...
Well, my people are drinking. But I mean, I don't know if I'd go to Brazil or something. I think, I've been to Ireland. I performed in Dublin, and it's kind of like, I don't know, you feel... I don't know that I'd ever live outside of the U.S., but you do feel like a little bit of a kinship. Do you feel any of that when you go back to Italy?
Not too much.
Okay.
No, I enjoy it. I enjoy their way of life. I enjoy the way they behave.
I like Ireland. They're all tortured. They're tortured. You got to see the new movie, The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's the crew from In Bruges. It's amazing. It's like Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Martin McDonagh directed. It's really good. And they shoot it in Galway, Ireland. Ireland's beautiful.
It is beautiful when it's not raining.
Yeah, when it's not raining, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But the people there, it's a very different lifestyle than America. So I don't know that I could ever do it, but I don't know. Where would you go?
Well, the only reason why I'd go is if some horrible shit went down in the United States.
And what are the chances of that?
It's just, I mean, if Manhattan gets hit with a nuke.
Right. That's not a good sign.
No, and that's when you have to really think, oh my God, do I stay here?
Right. If LA gets hit with a nuke, it's like,
They deserve it.
You go, well, as long as I'm not there, I'd be like, I would be sad. I would text Andy Letterman like, love you, goodbye.
Yeah.
But Manhattan gets hit with the nuke because New York's the nerve center of the country. So if that gets hit, we're in trouble.
Isn't that weird that New York's the nerve center of the country?
Not really if you've
why?
been there. Well, because it's number one, it was before America. It was a Dutch fur trading outpost. It was a marketplace. But in America, it's a capitalist country. So everything's about commerce. And New York predates America, right? It goes back to the 1600s.
Does it really?
Oh, yeah. New York, it was New Amsterdam, before...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, before America became anything. It's just the best city we have. It's the best we can do as a country. Now, not everyone's going to want to live in a place like New York. It's expensive. You live on top of each other. But it's got the best of everything when you think about... all of the things that a country can do, New York probably does them all. The best for what we can do as America.
Food.
Yeah, I mean, everything like that. Education. I mean, all the big companies, a lot of them are headquartered there. It's kind of...
market.
Yeah, it's an amazing city. You have this amazing diverse population of people that all become kind of New Yorkers and all kind of meld together. It's a real city.
You know what was great about it before the crime really upticked? The thing was great that you would be around everybody with just like from all walks of life would walk on the streets together and ride the subway together. It's like there's a real mixture of people, whereas in Los Angeles, people are just in their cars.
Los Angeles is an isolating and lonely place where everybody's out for the same thing, which is fame.
Yeah. And if they're not out for it, they're out for capital.
If they're not out for it, even the doctor in Los Angeles will brag about his celebrity clients, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to Los Angeles in many cases to build something, right? You want, and it's not a community in the way that New York is. New York feels more like a community, and you get the best of everything. So you have people in New York that are like going to be the best architects or the best chefs or, maybe the best baseball players or the best whatever, you put them all together and like there's excellence all around. Even the buildings, when you look at the buildings in New York, you go, Emery Roth or, all these great architects, Henry Hardenberg built the Dakota where Lenin was like, you're just around this amazing architecture. Some of it's been around for hundreds of years and it inspires you and you feel great.
I was watching this online piece about this lady who pretended to be a billionaire so that she could go to all the different places that were being sold.
Yeah.
And so she could take photos of their views.
Yeah.
But it was a really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
No one should have this kind of money. No one should have this kind of. Well, how do you stop that? Do you cap their money?
You can't stop it. And
it was also like...
I've been doing that too, going to places I can't afford and looking at them, but I don't take the tack that no one should have that kind of money.
You take the tack that one day.
I look at it and go, I'd like this kind of money.
Yes.
I think that there's a limit where money doesn't make you happy, but it is nice to have. And this idea that, there is a new generation of people coming up where fulfillment is the main thing, which I understand, and that's good. But I also think at the end of the day, like, we shouldn't lie about the fact that, like, being, working and like getting the benefits of earning a living that you can be comfortable with is good. And you're not always going to be happy all the time. Not every job you have, you're not going to love, right? So I think a lot of the young kids coming up right now are like, I need to be inspired at every moment of the day, or I need to be really. And it's like there's a lot of shit jobs that you do, and you don't realize why you do them until you get to the next thing. And then you go, oh, I learned something in that job that I didn't realize I needed.
Well, money doesn't make you happy, but it does relieve desperation. And desperation makes you sad.
That's true.
That the desperation, the desperation of not knowing if you're going to be able to pay your bills and that pressure and stress of it. I clearly remember when I got my first development deal and I got money in the bank and I just like, it was like a weight, like a physical weight had lifted off my shoulders. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't worry about how I was going to pay the rent. And that was interesting because it's like that is.
What year was that?
93.
And that was the first time you took a breath.
Yeah. I was like, wow, this is what this feels like.
It's hard, especially with comedy, because when you start, there's not a lot of money for a while.
No, you're barely getting by. You got no health insurance. You're getting couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. You're trying to scratch together a living, pay your rent, pay your bills, pay your gas bill.
Yeah.
And when you get done, with the week and you pay all the stuff, you don't have anything left. And that's how you're living. You're living hand to mouth.
Yeah.
And you're always wondering, like, am I going to fill my books so I can get enough road work so I can pay everything? And, you don't know where it's going to go. And then getting a big check. I got a big check from Disney, of all people. And, I started going to restaurants and I was eating nice. And I was like, this isn't. My manager actually thought I had a gambling problem.
Yeah. Because he saw what you were spending.
Yeah. I was like, no, I'm eating out.
Right.
I'm having lobster.
Yeah. It's interesting when you transition from being anxious about that stuff to at least taking a breath and going.
Yeah. It's a huge advantage.
Yeah, it's a big advantage. You can focus more on being creative.
But the hunger
is good too.
Yeah, the hunger of not knowing where you're going and what's going to happen, that fuels people. But it doesn't fuel everybody. Some people don't have the constitution for it and it fucks them up.
Yeah. So many of the articles you read now are about how they seem to be preparing people to live with less, going, you don't need to own anything. You'll be happy renting.
That's all World Economic Forum.
No, I know. It's shitty.
That's such nonsense. But it's also because people don't have anything.
That's right.
And when they don't have anything and they see people who have things, they think there's something wrong with those people. There's no way they did it the right way. Those people are all criminals. Yeah. Like there's this attitude that people have when they're poor. When they look at people that are wealthy, like those people are evil. Like there's no way they're not evil, which is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Because if you got a job that paid more money and you kept working up and you got more and more money and you're the same fucking person, now all of a sudden you're wealthy. Are you evil now?
Right.
Did you do this by subjugating people?
Yeah.
Did you do this by stealing? No.
Well, there's such a vast chasm of like intelligence too, right? So you have like brilliant people and then you have people that are, they're just kind of struggling. And I think that like sometimes even understanding the world that we live in, and even understanding how to make money,
right,
or is difficult for a lot of people, right? There is also a lot of fuckery and a lot of corruption, and like sometimes bad people get a lot of money, but that's just the way it is. There's bad people without a lot of money, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just understanding how to make money is difficult, I think, for a lot of people, because you don't learn anything about money in school. You know, you go through 18 years of school, you don't hear the word credit card, interest rate. I mean, it's kind of amazing, you know? You get some basic economics courses in high school, but like the consumer economy, like the things you need to learn, you just don't learn a ton about that.
All right, and how much did they discuss with you about how student loans you have to pay back no matter what?
Yeah, not really.
Even if you go bankrupt.
Yeah, they're not really like, you know, maybe they're doing it more now, but like they leave out this stunning amount of information that you would need. And I think a lot of people, you very smart people that can tell you all about history or whatever. You know, and I've been like a person who, like, I remember one of the first credit cards I got, it had like a $200 activation fee, and the limit was like $250. This was years ago. I tried to use it at a restaurant. They're like this, and I'm like, this is impossible. It had to go through. I just got it, and literally, I looked. It was a $200 activation fee, and I only had $50 whatever available credit. Like, you get in that system and you fuck yourself, it's hard to get out of it.
I know a lot of people did that when they were struggling. They got into credit card debt, and
it's
the
hard.
interest rate keeps going up. And
then you get
you're only paying the minimum amount every month, so just like the actual chunk of money that you owe doesn't really shrink.
What's good about America is there's no debtor's prison, so you can declare bankruptcy. Unless
nice.
You
have student loans.
That's the one thing they'll get you on. But I tell people all the time, just declare bankruptcy and just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, but if you let the student loans go,
you can't let the student loans go. But I say don't even go to school. Like, what are you even doing in college? I mean, when you think about it, every story coming out of an American university is like some insane. It's like they're holding the teacher at gunpoint now because she said, you know, something nice about Columbus. Like, I don't even understand what anyone's learning, unless you're like a finance guy and you're like, I'm going to Princeton, or you're a tech person, you're going to Stanford. But these low-level, mid-tier schools, do we need them? I mean, they exist for like football, and it's fun. You go have fun. You go get fucked up for 4 years. You enjoy yourself, but like, do you really? I don't know what you get out of it anymore.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you just want an education, you just want to have more information, and you're not thinking about using it as a career.
Yeah.
Which nobody does.
Right.
But if you did that, you can learn some things in college. And if you wanted to be a doctor, well, that's the way to do it. If you wanted to be a lawyer, that's the way to do it. You have to go through university.
But we don't need more of them. Like, we don't need more lawyers. Doctors? We don't need more lawyers. And in terms of doctors, we probably don't need more doctors. We have enough doctors. In terms of like, we have a lot of doctors. We have every kind of doctor. We have plastic surgeons. We have all kinds of doctors. It's like, especially because...
Yeah, but they die off.
That's a good point, I guess. I mean, then
you gotta keep refreshing the population.
But if you're not going to be a doctor, and you're not going to be like a lawyer, it's
STEM.
Like... Yeah, we've got a few people doing
engineering,
Most
mathematics.
people are just in marketing. People go, I'm in business marketing. You ever talk to a kid? They're like, I'm in business marketing. They have no idea what's going on.
Well, they don't know what to do. They're filled with hormones. They're partying outside their house for the first time, living in dorms, getting laid.
It's a good experience.
Yes.
It's a fun experience. I never had it. I went to community college, and I dropped out to start selling subprime mortgages. So I regret not going to college, but I like my journey was meaningful too. But yeah, I regret it. I regret not going, kind of.
What do you regret about it?
The experience that you would have had in a college where you're living on your own with everyone your age. But I think my life would have been very different had I done that. I don't know, but it might have been different.
Probably.
So I think the life I had was good because I love comedy. I like what I do, and I think it's good to go through crazy shit and have it be funny. But I think a college experience is interesting if you make the most of it.
You ever think about what life would be like if you didn't do comedy?
Yeah, I do.
Like during the pandemic, how long did you go without doing comedy?
I think I was doing the podcast every week, but I did, when they shut it down in March, and then I think the first time I was on stage might have been, I did a comedy club, Vinny Brand in in New Jersey opened up the Stress Factory outside. And he had an entire outside thing.
He had a tent.
And I don't know when I did that, but I did it. And it might have been 3 or 4 months. Maybe it was 5 months. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. It might have been longer than that. But it was weird. Yeah, you thought about it. You're like, what would I do?
What was weird to me was when it seemed like there was a possibility that we could never go back to doing it again.
Right.
The first few months was like, what if it just stays like this?
What if it stays like
no shows ever again?
Right.
And I just have this distant memory of what it's like to do stand-up.
Because it is the best thing. The internet's fun, but it's like being in a room with real people that are live. You need that human connection.
Yeah, it's a great time, too.
Because some of the YouTubers that never are around people, like it's a little weird.
Oh, yeah.
Like the people whose entire interactions with everyone in life is just on the internet, you can look at them, you go, there's something off. And when you talk to them, like they're kind of like, they always hate that they're not online. Like when you talk to some of them in real life, they're kind of like, haha, they want to be in front of a computer screen. That's where they're most comfortable.
Yeah.
And there's something,
what they're accustomed to.
It's what they're accustomed to, and it's a little sick. But for me, I love that I grew up without that, and now we have it. But I like that I didn't grow up in front of that screen.
Yeah. Well, I
personally
think it definitely does something about your social development. And there was an article recently about how it affects children's brains in a measurable way, like this connection to social media.
Yeah.
It's
for sure.
undeniable. If you're not interacting with people for the most part, and you're most of the time, like if your job is to be a streamer,
right?
And the more you stream, the more money you make, and you're streaming all day, your connection with humans has got to be very strange and different than anybody that's ever existed before.
Yeah, it's very interesting
because you are interacting with people.
Yes,
but you're not interacting with anybody in person. And
right.
A lot of it is just you putting something out there, and then people reacting to the thing you put out there. It's almost like sending a messenger pigeon.
It's very interesting. It's definitely a unique vantage point where, because you're also dealing with people online that a lot of them are anonymous. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are kind of, it's different than it would be if they were in front of you.
Yeah.
Speaking to you face to face. People are, really either trolling or they have their guard down. They're saying whatever they want to say. Some of them are being completely honest. Some of them are just trying to have fun. Some of the,
Yeah.
So you get to see maybe the best and worst. I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, you get to see what people are like in the back of their mind without social interaction, without communicating with people. You get to see like the little base thoughts that people have,
right?
Shitty ideas that people have about other people, and just the shitty ideas they have about themselves.
Right.
It's astounding to me how many people, like when I go on social media, if I just randomly scroll through Twitter, how many people talk about their mental health and how bad their mental health is.
It's because I talk a lot about it on stage now. Having a mother who's mentally ill, genuinely, right? And I don't mean that other people, obviously mental illness is running rampant, but it does also seem like there's a difference between the mental illness my mother has, where she's a schizophrenic, genuine she didn't diagnose herself on Instagram. She's in an institution. She cannot live in and I think that's different than for example, depression. And depression is a very bad thing. But there's clinical depression. There's also situational depression, where some of the things that you're doing or eating or whatever, and there's
how do you discern what's the cause, though?
It's very difficult.
Because when someone is diagnosed with clinical depression, but then you look at their actual lifestyle and you look at what they're doing and what's fulfilling about their life, you're like, well, of course you're depressed. If you clean that up, how much of it would affect? Like, I don't want to be dismissive of people with
a
real
chemical
depression
imbalance,
because I know people that have it.
Yes.
And I know people that have taken antidepressants and it changed their life, and then they weaned off of them, and then they're infinitely better off than they were before they took them.
Yeah,
because they were on the verge of suicide.
Some people have a chemical imbalance, and some people that can be corrected with medicine. Some people really, the depression comes from a situation in their life they can clear up. Some people have anxiety because, again, they have this disorder. But then there's a lot of people that have anxiety because, maybe they're in a job they hate.
Yeah.
Maybe they're in a bad relationship.
And then there's some people that just genetically, their brain is fucked.
That's right.
That's real.
That's true.
Yeah, there's people, and that's schizophrenia, right?
When you use the bathroom, you always close the door behind you, right? You don't want random passersby looking in on you, so why would you let people look in on you when you're going online? Makes sense.
Does make sense.
Using the internet with ExpressVPN is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. VPNs are huge now. It's very important.
It's very important.
Because
I have ExpressVPN.
everybody does. Because the thing is, they sell your information.
Those motherfuckers.
It's called data harvesting and mining. And you want your privacy. And the best part is using ExpressVPN is easy as closing your bathroom door. You just fire up the app, click one button, and you're protected. It's the #1 world VPN rated by Mashable, The Verge, and countless others. VPNs are huge now. If you're online without a VPN, it's like a huge problem. And people die. So if you're like me and you believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com.
I want to look at your history.
Yeah, it's great. It's my name. It's just me. Just Googling my name. It's just over and over and over and over and over. And then Zillow. And Zillow houses. I just imagine, where would I be happy? Would I be happy there? Maybe that'll make me happy. Go to expressvpn.com/Tim Dillon today. Use my exclusive link, expressvpn.com/Tim Dillon. And you can get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/Tim Dillon. What about that guy that just killed those? I don't know if he even killed them. I imagine.
Idaho guy.
The Idaho guy.
That's a fucking crazy
Well, it's
story.
weird because for 6 weeks they were like, we don't have one lead, and then everyone's like,
No.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about it because
Okay.
you don't talk about it. When
Yeah.
cops are investigating something.
Yeah.
I mean, they vacuumed that place looking for DNA. They
Right.
got genealogy DNA.
Right.
So they mapped the DNA
Yeah.
to people that were related to this guy.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it's not that they didn't have
Well,
any leads.
they didn't share it.
Well, why would they?
Because it's entertaining for me. I would like to know.
That guy scares the shit out of me.
No,
that there's people like that. They
There's
said
people like that.
the people that went to school with him said that when he went back to school. Now this is obviously if he did it, that he was noticeably happier and noticeably had more energy and more lively in interacting with people.
Well,
which is fucking creepy.
That's a really sick person.
Yeah.
And,
well, this is a guy that was studying criminal behavior and I mean, he was.
That's crazy. He came back after and he was happier.
Well, that's what they said. But also, this is
hearsay.
But this is also people that know him, and maybe they think he's a creep, and who knows.
But the idea that you could have that in your brain, where one day you could stalk these people or whatever, figure out how to murder people, and just go in, kill these innocent people, and leave, and go to school the next day. Like, that is somebody's brain that's fucked. There's no other way to say it.
There's no other way to say it.
No other way to say it.
And they think there's just a certain percentage of those people. Like, there's a certain percentage of sociopaths.
And I guess the challenge is identifying them.
Yeah, psychopaths, sociopaths.
That's where the text or stuff comes in, and you start to get nervous about it because, like, they'll be like, well, we want to start identifying those types of people early. It's like, yeah, but that's almost, you run the risk there of, drawing lines around a lot of people who are never going to do that, who are either goofy or funny or silly or saying dumb shit online, and then they
like death metal.
Yeah, they like death metal, whatever.
They like horror movies.
They listen to my podcast.
They
whatever.
Really don't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah, they don't want to hurt people. But at the end of the day, it's like that's where a lot of that tech stuff comes from. They're like, well, we got to identify these like antisocial people.
That's Minority Report.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. That's
pre-crime.
Pre-crime.
Yeah, that's scary shit.
It's scary.
It's scary also because there's people that at times in their life, like there was a guy who was on this podcast, John Bernthal, the actor?
Yes.
Great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
What an interesting dude.
Interesting.
Like way different than, when people think of actors, they think of people that are insincere. This guy's the opposite of that. He's super sincere, really intelligent, really articulate, very deep and interesting guy, and a really nice guy too.
Yeah.
Really, really liked him. But he was talking about this guy that he knew that he interviewed that was, he was going to blow up a mosque. And he went into this, he had this hate of Muslims after coming back from overseas,
right,
from serving. And he was going to blow up a mosque. And he went in there and he met this woman who welcomed him into the mosque. And he was still totally intent on blowing her up, blowing everybody up. She invited him over her home for dinner. He was still intent on it. So he gets to know her and his family, completely changes course, becomes a devout Muslim.
Wow.
And then talked about the whole experience, about what his plans were and that he didn't do it. and now he's this like very happy.
Well, that's like there was a prison guard in Guantanamo Bay that converted to Islam. He was a prison guard. That's how you know you're losing the war, America. By the way, that's not a great sign. But he converted to Islam because, you know, he struck up a friendship with a guy in the thing. I think people are looking for something, and
that gives them purpose.
The intensity of belief is always interesting to me. And the people, and I like, you know, Camille Paglia wrote an interesting article about Obama, and she goes, he's such a brilliant guy, but one thing he doesn't seem to understand is like religion. He doesn't understand the passion and intensity of like belief systems because he is so intelligent that he doesn't seem to grasp that which motivates people. Like, you know, that
how does she know that though?
Well, she just made comments on like the way he would talk about religion. I think this was like after he made that comment, like people cling to their guns and their Bibles or whatever. And she was like, I don't think he fully, you know, understands, you know, being a Harvard educated guy. Like he doesn't fully understand, you know, that religion provides a great comfort to many people and a organizing principle for their life, right?
Yeah.
I do think that it can spill over into this, you know, fervor that's unhealthy, right? And you see that with fundamentalist religion everywhere, where it's like whether it's you're a Christian or Muslim, or, you know, there is a certain, you know, value to critical thinking and not cult, you know, behavior. But yeah, that's interesting. A story like that where a guy goes in to kill people and then goes, well, I want to be one of you. And that's someone who's looking for something.
Yeah, well, obviously, just the fact that he wanted to go in there and blow the mosque up, he's obviously in a bad place.
He's not in a good place.
And sometimes when people get involved in a really rigid ideology